Good afternoon and welcome to this episode of Shuffled Strats. And today we are going to talk about item usage and just some nuances when it comes to how you can use items and when you can use items. So let's jump right into it. So this is from the same game that you saw from the last episode where I was playing big. And what I am trying to show you right now is that this is where the Precious Stone is. Then you see Supersonic and then Amy, and you can see how close they are to the Precious Stone. Then what you're going to see next is the fact that Chow is closer to the Precious Stone than I am. And this is the point that I am trying to get to. Right now I am the furthest person away, which means that if Supersonic or Amy gets to the Precious Stone before I do, what'll end up happening is that I'll be hit with the anvil by Eggman and then I'll lose 50% of the rings that I have. And I don't want that. So what I am intending to do is position myself to be as close to the Precious Stone as possible while also disrupting Supersonic, who is currently my current rival, as he's the one in second place and he's the one with one Precious Stone as opposed to the other two players. So what I'm planning to do is using the magnifier to make his spot greater on the spinner while using the reducite to make my spot smaller on the roulette. And because these two items do not actually move me, I can use them back to back, as only items that cause you to move from your location will actually end your turn. So after I use the magnifier and the reducite, I'll use the teleport ruby to bring me closer to Supersonic, who is now much easier to select on the spinner. For the effects of the reducite and the magnifier stack. So as you can see here, now I am increasing Supersonic's space on the spinner. Conversely, this makes everyone else's space smaller because this is a ratio type item. And then by using the reducite on myself, this further alters the ratio of likelihood of being selected on the spinner so that I am much harder to select. And like I said, this stacks with the magnifier. So as a result, it's actually for the rest of the game, actually, until someone changes it, this is what the spinner is going to look like for the rest of the game, which is one of the reasons why the magnifier and the reducite are incredibly powerful items. So now that Supersonic has been magnified to basically the maximum size, now as you can see on the spinner, since I'm no longer on the spinner, he himself is occupying 50% of the spinner. And because the spinner is not an actually random mechanic, it's pseudo-random, but as long as you time it, you learn the timings, you can actually pick who you want every single time. It's like a 1 or 2 frame window for each particular position on the spinner, but ultimately, with a little bit of practice and skill, you can position yourself in a really favorable way with teleport-based items that use the spinner, or really any sort of mechanic that uses the spinner. So now, because of the teleport ruby, I am right next to the Precious Stone, saving me from the wrath of Eggman after the Precious Stone is collected by Amy. Unfortunately, the AI didn't choose to make a mistake and not hit the Precious Stone, but it was unlikely that I would get it simply because Supersonic was there as well, and Supersonic is after Amy, or rather before me. But either way, now I'm safe from Eggman's anvil, and even though Chow basically had like 1 or 0 rings, it doesn't matter because now I'm not getting hit. And then furthermore, on top of that, right, I am closer to Supersonic and Amy. So should I choose to do so, I can get into a duel with them and steal the rings that they have, further making it easy for me, to win. And that ultimately shows the strength in a lot of, well, not a lot of, but like a good handful of traits. Knowing what items, or rather knowing the rules behind using multiple items in a single turn, which is, if it doesn't move you, you can use multiple items back to back, and if it does move you, your turn ends. And learning about manipulating the spinner and knowing that the spinner, or rather any changes to the spinner will last for the rest of the game, and knowing that the spinner is a pseudo-random mechanic. So as long as you have the same exact timing every single time, you'll always land on the same exact spots. And also simply just leveraging items effects in order to avoid being, screwed over. Anywho, that's it for this episode of Shuffled Strats. This one's a bit longer than the last one, but hopefully I got the point across. I hope you all enjoyed what you saw today. Peace.